Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good evening, peeps. Welcome to another episode of Facebook Live with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Bryan+Post. And we are going to start the Trauma Responsive Classroom series. It is kicking off now. Tell your friends, tell your family members, call all the teachers you know, all my posty teachers out there. Call your principals and your superintendents and your other teachers and tell them the Trauma Responsive Classroom series is beginning today. All right, let's jump right into it. So, first of all, why am I calling it trauma responsive instead of trauma informed? Because fundamentally, I believe that it is about much more than just being trauma informed. Being trauma informed is understanding trauma, being educated about trauma, maybe paying attention to trauma, maybe thinking about trauma in a different way. That's not enough. You have to be trauma responsive. You have to understand how to respond to trauma. And in order to respond to trauma effectively and in the most authentic and in the most connected and in the most present way, this is where we start. Number one. You got to start with your own trauma. Oh, nobody's talking to sweet teachers about this. And I love my sweet teachers. I've had so many phenomenal teachers over the span of my time in the educational system. But no one is talking to you about your own reactions to the challenging children in your classroom. Educating traumatized children is a whole nother level, because you have an emotional component that you have to attend to before you can attend to the educational component. And this is one of the things I've got a diagram. So Monday I'm going to be up in Nevada, Missouri, doing a trauma responsive classroom presentation to a whole group of teachers. Actually, I think teachers coming from all over. And so really looking forward to that, really excited. I've got this new diagram that I'm going to be laying on them. It's so simple, but it's so amazing. It's so profound. I'll give you a sneak peek. Essentially, I'll give you a little sneak peek. So if you think about a lollipop, right? A circle and a little stick person, lollipop. I like to make stuff real simple. If you think about a pie chart, so you think about the little circle, you think about it as a pie chart. If you were to cut that pie chart into fours, this quadrant over here, this one little quadrant over here, represents the thinking brain. It's where all of our processing and our learning and our education and all of that arithmetic, reading, writing, and arithmetic, it all occurs in this one quadrant. Bam, got it? In this one quadrant. And then if you move over here to the other side, got it? Right over here. This is the short-term memory side of your brain. This is the hippocampal side of your brain. It's the oxytocin side of your brain. It's the part of your brain that's actually the bridge between this thinking quadrant over here versus this is the bridge. And then under here, the whole other half of the pie chart, guess what that represents? Your lower limbic system. Your fear, your stress, your reptilian brain. The greatest component of your emotional brain is in this bottom part of the quadrant. And guess what? This bottom part of the quadrant connects to this side of the quadrant. And so you've got 3/4 of the quadrant have to be, and I've also come up with a color scheme for this. I'm thinking I might do the whole red, yellow, green just for teachers, because I know that we use that a lot of times. But if you think about it, this whole part of the plate, of the platter, of the pie, this whole 3/4, if this whole 3/4 is not regulated, this quadrant doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you literally have to regulate this whole 3/4 side of the pie in order to get this side to regulate. Now, if you think about that, If you think about this, and I've been for years and years and years, I've been saying to teachers, hey Brenda, hey Tammy, hey there Mama. I've been saying to teachers for years. Joseph Ledoux, New York University neuroscientist, wrote a book called The Emotional Brain. He said, in times of stress, our thinking becomes confused and distorted, and our short-term memory is suppressed. I believe, bar none, that one finding and statement and quote, scientific reference, all alone by itself can transform educating challenging children in the classroom. In times of stress, our thinking becomes confused and distorted, and our short-term memory is suppressed. So if you think about my pie chart, this 3/4 represents stress. It represents confused and distorted thinking. It represents suppressed short-term memory. And what it does is it then dictates to this quadrant over here. And when this 3/4 dictates to this 1/4, Katie, bar the door, baby. All hell's going to break loose. A kid cannot learn. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to get them learned. You can threaten them. You can send them to the principal's office. You can suspend them. You can expel them. But nothing, baby, there is nothing you're going to be able to get this child, nothing you can do to get this child to learn, because it's not about that part of their brain. It's about this other 3/4 part of their brain that we have to attend to. But that was just a little teaser. I'll be pulling that all together for you guys. Here's what's important about our part 1 of this series, the trauma responsive classroom. We have to approach the classroom from a perspective of mindfulness. You are inevitably going to have a traumatized child in your classroom. And this is for all my teachers. And this is for my parents who have traumatized children who need to be connecting with those teachers right now. You need to find out who that teacher is right now. You need to make time for tea or for coffee or for cookies right now. Connect with that teacher right now, because that teacher, you're going to be relying on that teacher to be a regulatory presence in the life of your child. But here's what we have to understand. It's no different for parents. It's no different for teachers than it is for parents, than it is, in my opinion, for therapists. The first thing you have to attend to, the first variable you have to attend to in a trauma-responsive classroom, the first area you have to thoroughly assess, the first place of vulnerability, the first place you have to be willing to look is within yourself. Within yourself. And not just up here, in here in your heart. Emotional reactivity stems from unfinished business. When you find yourself being reactive to a child, feeling overwhelmed by a child, feeling stressed out by a child, it has far less to do with that child and far more to do with some challenge, some conflict, some experience that you have had in your own past history. And I'm going to take it one more step for you. It probably mimics the age of the child you're feeling challenged by. You might not be challenged by the first graders. You might not have been challenged by the third graders. You may not have even been challenged by the sixth graders. But there's something about that seventh grader that stresses you out. That is the first key to the trauma-responsive classroom. So I created a checklist. I put it in the title of tonight's presentation, tonight's Post Daily Dose. It's called posttraumachecklist.com. It's absolutely free. I want you to download it. Posttraumachecklist.com. I want you to go and I want you to download it. It's absolutely free, and I want you to read it. I want you to look at it. I want you to think about it. Because it's where you want to be with your child. And it starts, it's 4 points. There's 4 points to it, but all 4 points are broken down into these little subset of questions and things that you should be thinking about and contemplating. Let's start now. Let's not wait till school begins. Let's start now. Now, I'm working on a book, a trauma-informed handbook for teachers, along with my co-author, Dr. Bridgewater, and I are going to be speaking at this school, and I'm going to stream this for you guys because I think it's going to be immensely valuable for your teachers. But you got to get to them, because I know most of my posties are parents. Okay, I know a couple of your therapists, and I know one or two of your teachers, those who I've interacted with. But for the most part, we've not connected with your teachers yet, and I'm getting the questions. I'm getting the questions already. I'm getting the questions. This is where we start. We start right now. It's about prevention, guys. Prevention. It's not about intervention. It's about prevention. So if Big Papa says, find out who your child's teacher is, that's what he means. Have coffee, have tea, have cookies, have dinner, whatever you got to do to connect with that teacher and talk to them about your child's trauma. Help them understand that. But more than anything, send them the link to this video. And just encourage them to follow me for the next few days. And I'll go as long as I need to. Next few days, when I say that, I mean over the next however many days I need to. The next few days, I'm going to do a little bit more and a little bit more, but I want you to get that posttraumachecklist.com. It's a 4-point trauma-informed checklist. You get it at posttraumachecklist.com. It's absolutely free. All you got to do is put in your name, email, and you download it, make copies of it, think about it, look at it. You can actually use it every day in your home. I have parents using this every day in their home because it works. It's effective. It makes you mindful. It brings you present. It's so important. But it takes a little bit of effort. So, Part 1 of the trauma responsive classroom is paying attention to self. That child that you're finding yourself stressed out by, overwhelmed by, uncomfortable with, that you don't seem to like and makes you a little anxious, and maybe other people have a problem with him or her too. That's not about that child. You got to understand what that reaction is within you. And I know a lot of times we don't want to do that because it's like, we feel some kind of judgment or some kind of shame about that. I want to transcend all that. See, judgment and shame is all based in fear. I want to transcend that. We have higher consciousness than that. We're more loving than that. We're more understanding. We're more mindful. We have the ability to have an amazing classroom year, amazing year in the classroom. We have the ability to take a traumatized child and help them be more successful this year than they've ever been. And this is why you're so important as a teacher. Because you are defining this child's educational experience. It's not just about learning, whether they learn or whether they don't learn in your classroom. It's about the representation of the teacher and the classroom and what that means to this child in education for perhaps the rest of their life. The rest of their life could be impacted by your ability to build relationship with them, be aware of your own challenges, your own triggers, and be preventative in approaching this child and helping them calm this 3/4 of the quadrant of the pie chart so you can really have a good, clear, concise left side of the quadrant, right? So the thinking can be intact. All right, that's it for tonight. Remember, in any given situation, we always have two choices. We can show up at this school year and we can wait till that first bell rings. Maybe we can do that visit to the classroom, that mandatory visit that we all do. We bring our kids to and show them around the classroom, say hi to the teacher, that get to know you, which isn't really, it's not really a get to know you at all. And then we can send our kid off with all the other 100 kids into the stressful, overwhelming, all of this we'll get to over the course of this series. We could send them into that big old classroom with all these other adults who are just as anxious and just as nervous. See, excitement and fear come from the same part of the brain. We can do that. We can wait for that to happen and we can just push them in there, and then we can be reactive about the fact that they're getting stressed out and overwhelmed. You already know they're going to get stressed out and overwhelmed. Let's be preventative. And when we're preventative, we're not waiting to the last moment, because waiting to the last moment and doing the same thing you've always done is the definition of fear. It's the definition of fear. We can stop. We can take 3 to 10 deep breaths. We can be proactive. We can be preventative. And we can do something different this year that we didn't do last year. And that's what I want for you, because Big Papa loves you, baby. I love you. God bless you. Have a fantastic evening.